Welcome to WPR Watch Party Recap. I'm your host Roman. Let's start recapping. The first thing our watch party watched was PuraOre Pride of Orange. I butchered that. We watched the first episode of this. It's a slice of life sports music anime. We didn't. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna move this over here so I'm actually looking at the screen when I read the script. Wow. We watched the first episode of this. It's a slice of life sports music anime. We did not look at the genres before we started it, though. Basically, it follows a young girls' hockey team. The opening consists of them competing and winning in a match against Canada, where I'm fairly certain they commit a penalty by having too many people on the ice, but whatever. They win the match, and out of nowhere, they start singing a song like an idol group. It was kind of whack. The rest of the episode was pretty uneventful, though. Lots of boring slice of life. The only other thing worth mentioning about it is that the character designs are very similar to Love Live, and I'm not sure why. I give this one a meh. It's kind of bad, but it wasn't so painful that I'd give it a frowny face. Next, we watch the first episode of My Senpai is Annoying. We follow Futaba Igarashi, who is a full-fledged businesswoman. She's not having an easy time of it, though. Her senpai, Harumi, treats her like a kid, as mishaps ensue, she'll find herself growing closer with her loudmouth senpai. Oh, maybe Futaba feels more than she lets on, but one thing's for sure, she's still kind of annoyed because she's still kind of annoyed by him. This was pretty good. It's a normal slice of life rom-com. I give it a smiley face. I just hope the romance goes somewhere. The only other thing worth mentioning is that the visuals were pretty good in this show. Kind of a high quality visual we had going on. I gave it a smiley face. Tolgi, one of the guys in the watch party, thought it was kind of meh. Next, we watched the first episode of another slice of life rom-com. This one is also a drama, though. It's called Taisho Otome Fairy Tale. We follow Shima Tamahiko during 1920s Japan. That's like 100 years ago. It seems he comes from like a family of doctors or surgeons or something wealthy. And when he loses the ability to use his right hand, he gets exiled to the countryside by his wealthy family. He's now a self-proclaimed pessimist who hates the world. Very edgy. But his lonely life is turned upside down by the arrival of Tachibana Yuzuki, who is his arranged bride. Will her cheerfulness be enough to heal his broken heart? This show was pretty good, and Tolgi thought so too. It's just a cute little slice of life rom-com. The main character's kind of edgy, but let's be real. If you were in his shoes, you'd probably be feeling pretty edgy. Next, we watched the first episode of Faraway Paladin. As far as I made an AMV of this, as the card, put the card right there. As far as genres go, it's pretty standard action adventure isekai. Though there are a few notable switch ups with the formula. Some guy is reborn as a child named Will and is raised by three undead beings with the blood, the skeleton warrior, Mary, the mummy princess, and Gus, the ghost wizard. They teach him all they can, but don't want to tell him about their pasts, it seems, or even why they are raising him. As an audience, we can parse that the three were kind of like legendary adventurers who each ended up forming a pact with the god of death so they could live again for some reason. There's so many unknowns about the show, you could probably call it a mystery. I give it a smiley face. I like the mystery going on, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know if anyone else in the watch party thought it was anything special, though. Next, we watched the first episode of Build Divide hash 00000 code black. Funny thing, if you plug those numbers into like a color hex number thing, that's the code for black. So I mean, it literally is code black. Anyway, this is a card game anime. The main character is some kind of amnesia. The cards in the card game are mostly all beautiful women. Not a lot to say about this show. It was hard to understand what was going on because for whatever reason, it was hard to pay attention to the rules and everything as they were being explained. I don't know. I wasn't just, probably because I came here to watch an anime, not learn how to play a card game. The only other thing worth mentioning about the show is that the guy is like really edgy. I mean, you should like he puts his hood on the thing over his mouth when he enters his gamer mode or whatever. So that's a thing. I give it a meh. Everyone else was just calling it Yu-Gi-Oh, which is okay. Yeah, fair. Next, we watched the first episode of The Vampire Dies in No Time. It's a vampire It's about a vampire hunter who teams up with the world's weakest vampire in order to have misadventure. The first half was a bit of a drag because the punchline was always that the vampire was dying and coming back to life. And like when we got to the midway point, we're like, oh God, it's not over. That wasn't the end. That's just the midway point. But the second half was a lot better. The jokes had the punchlines weren't the same thing every time now. And it was a lot more funny. It's pretty much a slice of life. So this is pretty much a comedy slice of life. I give it a meh. It was funny at times and a drag at others. I'm hoping the following episodes are easier to watch though. Next we watch the first episode of another vampire anime. I think this one's called Irina, the Vampire Cosmonaut. This one's a drama slice of life romance. It takes place in a fictional version of the USSR where they use vampires as test subjects for the space program. We follow one such vampire, Irina, and her handler, Lev Leps, who is not so subtly catching feelings for her. I gave this one a meh. Interesting concept, boring execution so far. I didn't feel like a whole lot happened. At least it looked nice. I gave it a meh. One of the people in the watch party, Rika, kind of thought that the Irina was kind of like very bland and generic as a character. So far, we haven't really met her that much. Anyway, next we watched the first 2 episodes of MUTEKING, the Dancing Hero. This one was really good, and I think we all agree it was probably our favorite of the ones we watched. We followed the misadventures of MUTEKING and DJ, aka DJ, throughout the vibrant city of Neo San Francisco. They deal with monster attacks, retro future tech, and town-thumping tunes. They defeat monsters by performing the same dance number in the 2 episodes we watched. I hope they do it in every single one because it's such a meme. It was great. We loved it. The show basically is a slice of life comedy most of the time, but then they throw in little elements of music and mystery and action to keep you on your toes. It feels like anything could happen in this city. I give it a smiley face and my seal of approval. Definitely check this one out. It's pretty good. Next, we watched the first episode of Visual Prison, another vampire anime, a vampire music anime. It was a bit all over the place and very surreal. By the end of the first episode, I still had no idea what was going on. I don't have much to say. It was whack. The best part of this is when they sang the song Guilty Cross. They go, Guilty Cross. I give the show a meh. We watched the first 2 episodes of The World's Finest Assassin Gets Reincarnated in Another World as an Aristocrat. I really liked the first episode. It's a isekai, but instead of some incel getting reincarnated, it's the world's greatest hitman. There was a lot of action, and I really liked the hitman character, but episode 2 was boring and weird. I felt like they were rewriting his character to be more generic isekai instead of like a cold-hearted killer, which was kind of one of the interesting parts. It really started and it also really started to delve in like the gaminess of the world, which just felt so weird for like an old man who's probably never played a video game. At some point I might make a video that's dedicated to just talking about that transition between episode 1 and 2. But for now I'm just gonna give this show a meh. I hope they get back to the action in episode 3 and beyond because episode 2 is pretty rough. It also had that really weird scene that I'm not going to talk about, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm saying. Let's see. Next, we watched the first 2 episodes of Banished from the Hero's Party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. What is it with anime and overly expository titles? Like this one and the last one? What the heck? This one is pretty straightforward and kind of boring. It's not an isekai, but with the powers the main character has, it might as well be. The backstory is basically he's the first NPC the hero has joined her party on the way to fight the Demon Lord and like pretty generic isekai quest type deal. But their party's pretty late in the campaign and he's very underpowered and kind of a liability at this point. So he goes off to live a quiet life and start a pharmacy. Then he starts to get romantically involved with one of his old companions. Overall, I give it a meh. I'm not a big fan of slice of life and the main character is very generic, but maybe the romance will start to heat up and I'll actually like this show. Next, And finally, we watched the first 2 episodes of Tesla Note. This one is really interesting. At this point, it was pretty late in the night, and it was just me and Urkoi watching, me and one other guy. But we really liked it. The first thing you notice is that this is that has some pretty horrible CG, and the oof levels of blending between 3D and 2D are pretty bad. But none of that matters in the face of how fun the show is. Plot-wise, we follow a group of 4 who are investigating mysterious happenings in Norway. They keep saying that they're trying to save the world, but honestly, I have no idea how the world is even at stake. The best part is that they're pretty bad at what they do. They mess up all the time, and it's funny. They're so completely incompetent. All the 3D elements are motion capture, which really brings this stuff to life. It's kind of sloppy in its presentation sometimes, but that's part of the fun of the show. Overall, I give it a smiley face. Definitely, like, you're gonna watch the first scene of this and be like, man, this looks bad, but then, like, give the first episode a chance. Me and Merkoi thought it was pretty fun. All right, that's about it. If you want to ever join the watch party, the link to my Discord server is in the description, and it's every Wednesday at 3 p.m. to midnight, or 3 p.m. Chicago time to midnight, which is CDT or CST. I can't remember. Whatever. See ya. See you next time. Bye bye.